Welcome back to Backwoods Horror Stories. This is an interesting story that was submitted by a listener via email. If you have a story of your own to share, email Brian at paranormalworldproductions.com. You can also leave us a voicemail by clicking the button right here in the show notes. Now, let's join Brian as he shares this story of a hunter who sees a creature that he can't explain.
Hey Brian, I'm a big fan of your show. I'm also digging the new show, That Bigfoot Podcast. I'm grateful to have a place to share what happened to me, judgment-free, and from someone that doesn't constantly talk shit about the Bigfoot community. It baffles me how so many people can throw their money at a certain person out west that constantly belittles the very people that's made him a huge success and quite wealthy. I myself would rather give my story to someone I can actually believe and trust. Enough about that, though. I'll jump into my encounter. Before I do, I just want to say I have somewhat of a public job, and unfortunately, the world isn't quite accepting of this phenomenon yet, although it does appear to be getting better. That being said, I've decided to email you my story instead of coming on the show or leaving a voicemail. I have somewhat of a distinctive voice, so this is a much better option for me. My name is Steve. Okay, it's not really, but we'll go with that for now. I live in South Carolina, and I'm an avid hunter. Not shocking for this part of the country, as I'm sure you know. I have family property that I hunt. It's my dad's and his brother, my uncle's land, butts right up to it. Altogether, it's just over 150 acres of almost all wooded land. There's only 4 of us that have permission to hunt on it, and that's how we want to keep it. Before this happened, the only monsters I knew about was this 14-point buck that we'd seen several times on the trail cams. Man, did I want this guy. That's what I was always after. But I didn't have high hopes considering even laying eyes on him seemed to be pretty much impossible. It was a bone-chilling morning in late December of last year, 2022. I was out and headed to my tripod early that morning. It was still a good hour before first light. I finally make it, climb up, and get settled. I love being in the woods that early in the morning and watching the forest as it wakes up and comes alive. It's my heaven. This morning felt different, though. Something was off. A couple of hours in and the sun was out. But that's the only thing that was out. It was oddly quiet. Spooky, really. I almost always hear something. At least hear a few squirrels. Or always a bird or two. This morning, though, nothing. Have you ever noticed that when it's so quiet, there's this kind of ringing in your ear? There's just not another sound, just a slight ringing. That's how this morning was. And it didn't make any sense. A little more time goes by and something catches my eye. Across from me, up on a ridge, I'd say about 200 yards, there was a small clearing. I could see something black moving around. From there, it looked like a black bear. I'd never seen any kind of bear out in that area before, but I'm certainly no expert. That's what it had to be. From that distance, I wouldn't have noticed anything unless it had some size to it. I threw up my rifle to my shoulder to look through my scope to get a better view. I wanted to see a bear. What I saw was no damn bear, though. It honestly looked like a hair-covered man. I remember gasping, like I literally heard myself gasp for air. My stomach then began to go into knots. This thing was on 2 legs, walking like you and I do. What the hell was it doing, though? I swear it looked like it was walking back and forth and in circles, waving its extremely long arms around, and it looked like it was screaming at someone. I heard nothing, though. The best way I can describe it is have you ever seen someone on a bad trip? Somebody messed up on drugs. I'll call them crackheads. I know that's not the best way to put it, and I'm sorry if I seem insensitive, but that's the only way I can describe what I was seeing. Every once in a while, it would kind of stomp its feet like a child throwing a fit. There was something else going on, though. It really did look like it was arguing with someone. I guess I finally snapped out of my stupor, and I really don't know how long it took, but I'd say I watched this thing for at least 5 minutes. I only stopped when it walked out of my sight and into the woods, and the direction it was walking was directly towards me. I was definitely not about to stay around there and see if it got any closer. I jumped down and made record time back to my truck. As I got closer to the truck, I noticed the forest started coming back alive. I don't think I was ever in any real danger, but the fear I felt was like nothing I'd ever experienced. This has awakened something in me, a desire I'd never had before. I'm now on a mission for answers. I'll be honest though, it took me a couple of months to get back out into the woods. So that was the end of my hunting season for 2022. I know this wasn't the longest or most exciting encounter you've ever gotten, but it's interesting to say the least. What was that behavior? Have you or any of your listeners ever heard anything like this? When I got home that morning, I told my dad what I'd just seen. He shocked me when he didn't laugh, and he shocked me even more when he said that he believed me. He told me that he too had seen one some years ago, and not too terribly far from where I did. He said it was a roadside crossing when he was a teenager. He said that he was with Grandpa in his old Ford pickup truck. They both watched this giant thing cross across the road right in front of them. He said it was like this thing had waited to the last second, then crossed over and was gone through the woods. He said it blew him away, but Grandpa just said, "Yep, they're around here." I really wished I'd known that while my grandpa was still here. I'd love to hear what he had to say. The way my dad said that he acted like it was just another day leads me to believe that he might have had more encounters. Anyway, thanks for all you do, Brian. I hope you can use this. God bless.